God, it looks good down there. There's like maybe 1.5 steelhead per mile, maybe. So depressing. Anyways, end of the day, got everything done today I wanted to get done. Mosquitoes are out. I like it when it's slightly overcast, and I like the evening filming better if I had a choice. Brings out the colors better, it's more clear. Exposure is usually easy to nail. And the wildlife starts coming out. And soon, there's going to be monster bears right where I am. Any minute now. Any day. They're out. I know they're out. But any time now, there's going to be a hammer big bear coming up behind me without me knowing. Back there across the river, without a doubt. But anyways, no more babbling. More voices, more knowledge, more. Learn. Here we go. It's titled Red Eyes and Shit in My Pants. Hello, Steve. Hope this email finds you good health and happiness, and I thank you for your courage and knowledge. Sorry, there's a typo there. This life-changing and terrifying event took place in 1986 in Belding, Michigan, on the back roads with 3 of my friends. We turned off the road we were on, onto a 2-track, and stopped the car, and my friend and I jumped out and jumped on the back of the car, which had a huge luggage rack, so we could hold ourselves on without falling off. We're cruising down the 2-track, which was wooded on each side, and went back further and further until we came to a cornfield. Now, there was a cornfield on one side of us and woods on the other side. As we were approaching a 90-degree turn, there was a little cutout in the cornfield, and just as we were turning, we saw something standing there that had red eyes. It was invisible. Oh shit. Now this is where I'm going to lose a lot of people, but oh well. You're not going to lose me, alright? This is the absolute truth. What we all saw was a shape of a... What we all saw was a shape of a person that was invisible, but was also wearing a long sleeve shirt and tan pants and glowing red eyes. As we turned, the car stalled out, and that put my fear out of control to the point I thought I was going to lose my mind. My friend and I jumped off the car and jumped into the back seat, and we took off, and I was actually sitting on the floorboard, afraid to see another person outside of the car. Can't explain the fear that I was feeling. I absolutely thought I was going to lose my mind. Unfortunately, we were some of the weak ones, and we never got back together after that point. Wow. We all went our separate ways and never spoke about it. For me at first, I couldn't speak about it because the fear was running so high in me. I've told very few people since, but only a couple of people have believed me. So it's nice to be able to tell my story and not get ridiculed. It messed with me bad. I still refuse to have any electronics in my house that have red lights, if that tells you anything. Thanks for your time and your videos. It has helped me a great deal to hear other folks' stories. Okay, man, got your back, and you're safe here, alright? You're safe here. What a shit eater. Alright, here we go. Now, without a doubt, we have people who have gone to school to study psychology, without a doubt. And what I want to know is if this common reaction with people, the common reaction of a group, a couple of people, a pair, triplets, I don't give a shit, whatever it is, we've heard from them all. I want to know what the clinical explanation is for individuals not wanting to even see each other or talk to each other again after sharing a traumatizing experience like this. Alright? It's way too common. It's way too common a reaction. It has been driving me nuts, but my curiosity of this part for me is huge. I'm not sure, I don't think I've heard of anyone in combat who has gone home and not wanted to have anything to do with their brothers or sisters who are with them in combat. I don't think we've heard of you veterans out there stating that you did not want to talk with or see your partners in combat ever again after the fact. I don't think we've heard that. What else could we relate that to? What else could possibly cause human beings to not speak to each other after an event? I don't know. I don't know. But I'm really, really curious. All right? And I'm sure our friend who just wrote in kindly and generously and bravely wrote in would probably, I'd imagine he's curious too of what exactly it is that causes people to see that thing right there, scare the absolute shit out of you. I want to go home. I don't want to see these people who were my friends ever again. I don't want to talk to them about it. I don't want to talk about it. I'm out of here. I'm booking out of here. I want to erase this day from my entire existence and memory, right? It's a very odd reaction, I find. And I'm sorry you had that reaction, man. And I'm even more sorry that you had to have that experience without being pre-prepared or knowing anything about it. And a lot of people are probably going to go, oh yeah, tan pants and a long sleeve shirt, yeah, right. Well, listen, for all we know, on the original, the person who wrote this in, that's what they remember seeing. Who knows what that did to this person's mind? Who knows? Okay, it could have been a tan-colored Sasquatch being whose brain registered as a shirt and pants. We don't know, okay? 100%, 110% for sure this person had an absolute traumatic experience, witnessed something did not want to see, and that could possibly mess with your exact detailed recollection of what you saw. You never know. But you know what? From the crazy ass shit that's going on, who knows? It could have been somebody with clothing on, human clothing on, right? We don't know that for sure. Anyway, if somebody has any kind of past experience in psychology, may know of, if this has been studied. I want to know if this reaction has been studied in the past somehow, and what it is called, what causes it, and maybe you could write to me so I can share with the people to help these people deal with that part of it, all right? Thanks for sending that in, man. Don't worry, we got your back here in a safe place, and I believe you, all right? All right. Here's the title, my first Sasquatch experience plus more. Hey Steve, please don't use my name or any other mentioned names or the town list. Looks in this email. You're free to name the state though. I'd like to start by saying I am a huge fan of what you have been doing with getting this information out there, but I've been listening for a while now and I have finally built up the courage to get my experience out there. Okay man, my name is blank blank and I am from a town in Wisconsin named blah blah blah, which is for, my town is also a Native American reservation. I'm part of, you give me a lot of names here to blank out, all right? I'm part of the blank blank band of Chippewa Indians, also known as Anishinaabe or Ojibwa. Ojibwe. So, with me being Native American, I'm able to shine and harvest deer at night on the reservation. I think we may have read this, but it wasn't marked as read, so I'm going to read it again anyway. So one night in late September, me and one of my buddies went out shining on an old logging road, which probably by vehicle would take an hour to an hour and a half to get through. And I guess I'll mention that this logging road or trail is also connected to a dirt road that is going through the middle of the woods. And during the daytime, those woods just feel creepy, and you never feel like you're alone. Anyways, we're going down the trail pretty slow, making sure we didn't miss any deer standing there. Off the side of this main logging road are smaller roads, and some of them you could just tell no one has been down them in a while. Well, we passed one of these old trails, and I shined my light by this big hemlock tree. And at first I didn't notice it, but I seen something with kind of a humanoid figure with a head and shoulders. But it seemed massive, and it was dark and brown in color. It didn't register in my head the first time I seen it, so I focused my light back to the tree, and it was gone. After that moment, I got a sick feeling in my gut. I felt like I was being watched. I didn't tell my buddy. I just rolled my window up and drove straight and didn't lay my eyes out of where the headlights were shining. A couple days later, I went out to that spot and looked at the tree and realized this thing had to have been at least 7 feet tall from where I seen the top of its head. And ever since then, I've been more aware of my surroundings while in the outdoors. But moved forward about a month, and me and some of my different buddies were out shining a different piece of woods that was on the complete opposite side of the reservation than my first experience. We were just going along the trail, and all of a sudden I heard this loud, deep howl. Might I mention that I've been in the woods for a lot, and I have heard pretty much all the life forms that are active in these woods, either at night or daytime. But continue. The noise was so close to the truck that I could feel it vibrate. I also stopped and looked at my buddies to see if they heard it, and they had the look on their faces as if they were terrified, and they told me to hurry up and get out of the trail, so I did. And later in the night, we ended up getting a deer. While we were gutting it, my friend looked at me and said, "Do you feel that?" And I said, "What, like we're being watched?" And he said, "Yes." And then we both agreed to hurry up and get the deer field dressed. As we're field dressing it, we could hear something walking around us in the woods. It was walking back and forth, and every now and then you could hear heavy breathing. Finally, we got the deer in the back of the truck, and right as we were about to head out, we heard that same noise as earlier, so we kind of freaked out and left as soon as possible. For the rest of the night, we would hear that very low growling noise every so often. Sometimes it was so close. Sometimes it was close or a farther distance away. So now we come to my last experience, and it was me and my buddy from the first story. We're shining, of course, and we were on the highway heading to get gas. Right to the end of the headlight beam, there was a dark figure that crossed the road with ease. It had arms and long legs. We could not see the upper portion of the body, but we looked at each other and to see if we had seen the same thing. And I'll add that my reservation is only 12 square miles. I also want to add that on October 21, there was a video that surfaced of a potential Bigfoot sighting in a national wetlands area, which from my house is an 8-minute drive. Here's a link if you want to check it out. But Steve, I'm grateful for what you do, even though my experiences are not 100% confirmed as Sasquatch, or are they very exciting, but they definitely put some belief in me. Now, I'm not saying I never believed in this being, it's just I have never seen the proof clear as day in front of me, or ever had a good look at it. I do believe that there is some being like this out there now, especially after listening to your videos and my own experiences. I thank you for everything on this platform to be able to get this out. If someone is going to call me crazy or stupid, if you have any questions, just email me back. All love and support from me. Keep doing what you're doing. All right, man. I'm surprised you haven't had too many other experiences around your community. I'll bet you some of your community members can fill you in on a lot of knowledge on this topic if you asked around with a straight look on your face with respect, and you'll get that knowledge fed back to you if you do. On and on. What can I add to that? Some native guys here in Vancouver Island were near the head of the San Juan River, went in from Shawnigan Lake End, and they were shining lights, and they had a very young one of these things cowering in the ditch, in the bushes in the Wilton side of Logan Road, basically screaming while they held the spotlight on it. I heard of that one. What else? I shared a screenshot of text volleys I was getting from a guy who I guided for. Guy I've known all my life up in Connecticut, which is remote, boat access only on the west coast of Vancouver Island, and two of his native guides were again shining light near Gold River on Vancouver Island, and they said there was a great big massive 10-12 foot male Sasquatch in the spot lamp, in the alders, smashing the branches off the alder trees and rocking it back and forth and screaming at him and blowing a gasket. And those are two native light shining hunters that I can add on to that firsthand hearing about it. And I'm sure there's a lot more that we haven't heard from, right? All right, here's another one. Titled, Finally Spoke with Someone Who Takes This Topic Seriously. Hello again, Steve. Hello again, Steve. Hopefully my punctuation is decent, and hopefully I can read smoothly. I'm forwarding this email and previous email I am forwarding with this email a previous email I had sent, so perhaps you can mark the old as read or whatever. Anyways, I just went and visited the Skunk Ape Research Headquarters in Florida. My sole intention for driving almost 5 hours was to hopefully speak with someone about this topic who takes it seriously. I find this subject matter to be incredible. I pretty much binge listen to your videos on my way to and from work, sometimes 2-3 hours each way. I am possibly a member of the club, as per the below email, yet I do not have that absolute knowing. That being said, I can't seem to hear enough of your email shares and find many of the other subjects quite interesting as well. I don't know what it is in this as to why I have this incredibly strong need to keep learning and to know that the Sabe people exist with certainty. As you indicate, you'd understand why someone would seek them out or an experience, yet in your recollections of the past, you seem to have that same need to know through direct experience. I suppose it could be like a teenager who is recommended against experimenting with drinking or sex, where I think most people just need to have the experience to better understand. That being said, this information and knowledge sometimes is stuck in my head like flies on shit, as it is so incredible to me, and with that, for me, comes a strong need to speak with someone about it who understands. Maybe some listeners can relate to that. I can't imagine having lived with an encounter with visuals, screams, etc., and no one believing it. Talk about a need to speak. I'm curious as to why I'm so interested in this, as perhaps I have a buried memory, though I have all my life been intrigued by unexplained phenomena, never mind this subject matter, which stretches the bounds of our typical understandings. Anyways, the Skunk Ape Research Center. One gentleman said he once saw a print, and another one described some things that he stated can't be explained, such as a roar, which he knows wasn't that of a North American animal, though he has not actually seen a Sasquatch. The second gentleman was a former law enforcement and an avid hunter with experience and work in Wyoming and Colorado. His descriptions of some experiences were similar to many of the emails he received, which definitely added a piece to my puzzle. As my mind wavers in believing so many accounts, which is often countered with how it seems unlikely there could be so many similar experiences all made up. Part of my reason sending this follow-up is also to just talk about this with someone who understands. I often drive my head on a swivel when in wilderness areas now, LOL. I strongly want to see a Sasquatch, and yet I'm very cautious after having had such an education here via emails sent in to you. When I was speaking with the two gentlemen at the Skunk Ape Center, I had a sense that I had perhaps more knowledge than they, simply from hearing from the people here. Obviously, I have no idea, but I just sensed that after having asked about Skunk Ape. It's kind of funny. I went there and waited for a few people in front of me in line, etc., and no one was talking about this. It kind of drove me nuts, though I suppose I'm newer to the subject matter than others. Anyways, thank you for doing this, Steve. This feels like one of the most honest, truthful places that I know of, filled with incredible information. I went through my old email once again as well. Alright, here we go. So here's the other email. It's titled Second Email, titled Possible Encounter and More. Hi Steve, this is the second email. Anyways, I'll get right to it. Number one, encounter with a being at a mountain base. It was around 2003, 2004. I was returning to the car with my girlfriend at the time at the base of a mountain in the White Mountains of New Hampshire after hiking up to the peak and back down for a day hike, about 3 to 4 hours each way. It's pretty cold. The snow level really, it's actually snowing at the house, like half an hour ago. Got the schnupples. This is at Mount Shakura. She's filming a video at the peak, and so at the trail entrance, she wanted to film the outro. Excuse me. It was fully dark by this time, and we were near the edge of the parking lot, where the trail begins, with my car maybe 50 to 100 feet or so away, and it was the only car left in the parking lot as I recall. My car was facing the mountain, and I believe there was some grass in front, then a tree line behind the grass. After maybe 5 to 10 minutes of filming, we walked to the car. When I started the car and the headlights came on, I saw something in my upper periphery suddenly duck. It was standing by the trees, somewhat hidden by some branches. I would say it was 20 to 30 or so feet in front of us. I feel like it was quite tall, at least 6 feet. I'm curious by nature and want to know what it was, but she freaked out, practically screaming for me to leave now. So I proceeded to look back over my shoulder to back the car up and get out quickly. Once on the road, she did not want to talk about it. I don't understand that. Almost 20 years later, I still want to talk about it with someone. We haven't been in touch for many years, but it also makes me wonder about that outro footage. I've thought back and wondered what this was ever since. There are a few aspects that I don't think can be explained away with normal animal behavior, and please correct me if I'm wrong. One is the fact that I have to assume this being paralleled us, as it was right in front of the car. I did not hear a thing either. I racked my brain to think of what kind of animal might move very stealth alongside a couple of humans at night, and be quite tall, and all I could come up with is perhaps a moose. And yet, not being an expert, I don't see a moose curiously creeping up on us or alongside us. My sense was when it was simply curious, but my girlfriend's reaction was one of extreme fear. She was a bit of an adventurer, so those aspects sure make you wonder. The whole woman's instinct comes into mind. Yeah, mine too, man. Women are way more intuitive naturally just because they're the caretakers of the babies, right? Their sense of smell, everything changes when they have a baby. Everything. They're way more alert. My senses told me it wasn't a human, and likely not a typical animal. Anyways, I'm somewhat relieved to be able to share this encounter in a very knowledgeable, respectful, understanding environment. I'm curious, in your opinion, Steve, is there a tall known animal that type of behavior is associated with? Occasionally I would look up paranormal stuff in that region when I would remember the encounter, and the only thing I found was something called wood devils, which sound like they may act similarly, and of course I wonder if they may just be a form of Sasquatch. Besides that, I don't recall any kind of distinct feeling, and that is interesting since the two of us were a bit of intuitive. Number 2, large dark cat sighting. Maybe 35 years ago, while driving through the White Mountains, my dad saw a large dark cat across the road. He wasn't sure it was black. He said it looked black, but it was a bit off in the distance. The irony here is that we were near Mount Wildcat. No shit. But he said he saw it. Probably the next most paranormal story he's told me is when he was shot down in a fighter jet during one of his 4 tours at war. No way. Yes, he did 4 tours. I've been since told that isn't extremely common. And he definitely said it was a large cat, as not in a house cat. I always remembered because I've always had an affinity for things like rare, unusual sightings, etc. Number 3, large canine sighting. A couple years ago in central Massachusetts, my sister said she suddenly saw a very large dog walk up onto her front lawn and then just sit down and look at her. She was pretty nonchalant about it and calmly described the size of it to me. And she was describing a massive dog, like really big, a couple 100 pounds by her estimation. I started Googling wolves and such, and she was describing something much bigger. She said she shined a flashlight and continued to just look at her, which kind of freaked her out. But she wasn't all that interested. Once again, I don't understand that either. But anyways, that is another one I have wondered about for some time. I had a 120-pound-ish Rottweiler, and she had a couple of Australian Shepherds, and what she described was much bigger than our dogs. Not too long ago, actually, I sent her a video titled 2 Largest Wolf Ever Caught on Tape, YouTube, as it reminded me of what she described, and she simply said back, "Yes, that's it, LOL." I wasn't able to find any known dogs to fit that description. Dogman never crossed my mind, but who knows? Anyways. Thanks, Steve, for reading people's emails. I've gotten a lot of great stuff out of it, and since it's one of the most truthful areas on the internet today, what a strange time it is. I'd hiked a number of mountains in my teens and noticed some whoop videos. Kind of sounded familiar. Sure makes you wonder. I know you're convinced via experience and know Sasquatch are real. I notice my mind doubting it all the time, which in itself makes me curious as to why there's such a resistance in my mind around that, combined with utter fascination. I'm not sure why, but for me personally, it is a feeling like a need to know for some reason. I'm surprised how much this grabs my attention. After listening to you for a little while, I'm on the fence about whether I really want a direct encounter. I suppose that alone is my personal puzzle piece. I won't lie either. I found myself wondering if these emails could all be made up, but I'm leaning strongly against that. After having listened to many, which is pretty self-explanatory, I sense you could care less about that, but I'm just sharing openly and honestly, as this seems to me that what the round table of knowledge is based on, and I love that. What a freaking breath of fresh air. I also must admit that when you hear numerous stories with all the various aspects, it just makes so much sense to me anyways. Thank you for hearing me out. I've since developed almost a need to talk with someone about this incredible subject matter, and as you have shared via numerous others, the mere mention of Sasquatch was met with giggles, etc. A few times I brought it up to someone besides one friend, If you have another person out there that wishes to tell you to watch your six, though, I know you know. Well, thanks for listening. I love this community of people. I really enjoy stewing over various puzzle pieces, such as correlation between portals and nuclear energy and Sasquatch, disappearances of Sasquatch or cloaking like predator mind speak, the sixth sense, and their seeming superhuman abilities, such as one account stating that they run faster than a cheetah. Wow. But the height of 10 to 12 feet tall or more? Oh my, that is something else. Granted, some Eastern mystics have been telling us some of these things have been possible for a long time. I seem to recall some of Patanjali's yogic sutras purportedly manifest certain aspects such as the strength of a lion, etc. Though, from what I'm understanding, I think that should be rephrased to the strength of a Sasquatch, lol. Someone recently mentioned the life and teachings of the Far East in one of your email shares. I really enjoyed that. There's a lot of interesting stuff in that series. I wonder if many of the savvy people are playful, as the whole house slap thing cracks me up, as much as I realize that would be a terrorizing experience not soon forgotten. I can see them rolling around in tears after doing that. I also wonder if there is another potential aspect of those who know, like those who keep up the veil of secrecy. Is it possible they could have any semblance of a working relationship with Sasquatch, make them an asset of sorts? I also wonder if some military bases could be intentionally built near them. Anyway, sorry for the rambling. I just kind of need someone to share with. Thank you for your opening this platform for us, and I hope YouTube leaves you be. I understand your conviction and temptation to let them boot you, but I hope you stick around on this platform. Oh, and there's your name. Shit, I can't. This is such a long email. I can't remember if it said to leave your name or not, so I'll pass on your first name. All right, thanks for that email. It's a good long one, but it's a good conversation to be had, right? There's probably, I'd imagine, speculate, there's a lot of people sitting the exact same bench you're sitting on when it comes to this topic, and they're shaking their head in agreement and wonderment with the exact same questions. But I'm quite certain by now, especially after I just read your email, that probably confirms to you that I read emails word for word, man. It all comes to me, I read it, I share it with all of you, and I leave it up to the people to decide if there's anything in there for them or not, or leave it. Right? That's the way it's all supposed to go. Sadly and frustratingly, we've been dictated to from lying, sleazy pieces of shit. From every position in mainstream media, from the owner of the company right down to that dipshit staring into the camera, knowingly lying their frickin' face off to every single one of you and I when I used to watch those bozos, those losers. I don't give a shit how much money they make doing it. They are the poster children, the poster people for being an absolute loser in life. To sit there and knowingly lie to and mislead their own people in their own communities and knowingly do it no matter what the outcome. That is, you cannot be much more of an absolute loser than those people as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, I'll stop myself shy on that one. They get read word for word. Obviously there's going to be a little bullshit that we've got to sift through, but guess what? If we went to mainstream news, we'd be fed 100% bullshit the whole time. Do you see how much more an advantage and how much better and a good place, a place like this and other places similar to this can be? We get probably, I'm gonna guess, 95% straight up honesty here, even higher. It's just hard for me to wrap my noggin around picturing somebody waking up in the morning going, what should I do today? I think, well, wait a minute. I'm going to listen to about 50 more of those emails on how to hunt, and then I'm going to make up my own and add in all the similarities into it, go out of my way to sit and type out that email and send it to them. Said no rational firing mind ever, right? And then a lot of people say, you know, Steve, somebody's just going to write you a bullshit story just to discredit you. You can't discredit me. It's not possible. I feed you guys the 100% everything that I get. And if somebody's to make up a shitty story and send it in, They just discredit themselves. And that's why we have not still today heard one person email and go, "Ha, sucker, you read my story, you loser." Right? Who would? Because if you did, you instantly discredit yourself in front of millions of people, and you'll never come back from that. You'll never come back. You cross that line, you boast about it. That's who you are in the eyes of millions of people. And how are you gonna change that? You're not. It's not possible, right? So, anyway, enough babbling, more sharing. Well, I don't know what's going on behind me. I can guarantee you one thing that's not going on behind me. I'll guarantee you nobody's seen a fish rise. Might have seen an otter. A bear might have walked along the bank behind me and out of sight again. I don't know, maybe, you never know. One thing I can tell you for sure, frickin' chilly, man. Holy. Can't see my breath, but it is cold. Oh, wouldn't be surprised if we dumped snow tonight. Next up, we got one titled The Big Guy. Hi Steve, the stories from Connecticut are freaking me out. They reaffirm my story about 12 to 14 years ago. I came home late as usual from my construction job. It was dark out, and as I was removing my tools from my truck, the lone interior light of my truck was on, which made the outside even darker. I looked to my right towards my backyard, and something big, really big, was standing about 10 yards from me. Couldn't see it, but you know when you know something is there. I'm a big man, 6'6", 265, I don't scare easily. As I stood there, I was terrified for a few seconds, then shook it off. I walked into the house, said to my wife, "I think a moose is out back." She laughed, gave me a kiss, told me to wash up for dinner. Later on that evening before bed, I thought, there's no way a moose was out there. But something was. I believe I wasn't looking at a big moose rack, but shoulders of a huge Bigfoot, and I'll never forget that moment. It scared the crap out of me. Paul Lane, Wilton, Connecticut. Hey man. And you know what? If you went out of your way and felt troubled enough to email us about it, you know what you saw already. You know what you saw, and welcome to the club of no return, right? Alright, what do we got here? Here's another one. No title. Hello Steve, my name is Peggy. My husband Derek and I have been watching your channel and hanging on to every word you've read over the last little while. Why? We feel connected to some of the stories you've read, and I can't help but think this all seems familiar to me. I hear warnings like, if you're alone and everything goes silent, or your hair stands up on end, get out of there. Or, don't poke a sleeping giant. I once had an experience blueberry picking that left me scared to go back for a while. I still get the chills thinking about it this day. So my husband says, tell Steve. So here it goes. Feel free to use my name and where I'm from, my children. I'll use their nicknames. We moved to Clark's Beach, NL, some 20 years ago with our two children, Sis and Hammer. We love animals and have many rescues over the years and still do. We had a Rottweiler, Birdie, and a 7-foot iguana named Godzilla who roamed freely around the house. A couple snakes, koi, cats, and smaller lizard. All right, basically we're talking Noah's Ark almost. Uh-oh, and it starts again. That was in the title. All right, hold on, sorry. We got to scroll down through the story so I don't read it twice. Godzilla. All right, my husband, a tattooist, me a body piercer, florist, family, vet, and mom. Our house is a busy place when my children were growing up. I always loved the summer. Where we lived, there's only 7 houses on our road with only one entrance and surrounded by trees. My yard had lovely wildflowers, strawberries, and cherry trees. My neighbor had a plum tree that the moose come out and eat every fall. Across from my house, there was a big piece of undeveloped land, overgrown with trees and giant blueberries. It was one of my favorite spots to go to. Every year, I'd make a few trips across the road on this little path of trees until I came to a small clearing full of blueberry bushes. Every year was the same for years until just a little while ago. I remember I was waiting for my sister to come and visit. I said to my husband that I was going to go pick a few berries while I waited for her. So I grabbed a bucket and I was off. It was around 6 p.m., late August. So it was starting to, whoops, sorry, I just screwed that up. Damn it. So it was starting to get dark earlier, but I figured I had plenty of time. I Keep in mind, I can see my house and hear if my sister pulls in the driveway from where I was. The piece of land I'm on is maybe a couple thousand feet. So there I was, picking away. One for me, one for the bucket, LOL. The berries were big, but today they were huge. I mean, never seen berries so big. There was blue all around. I kept picking and picking. Wow, I said to myself. I soon started to notice it was getting dark. Oh no, another big patch. Look at those, I said to myself. I couldn't leave. But no matter how many I picked, my bucket just wouldn't fill. Oh, it's just my eyes playing tricks on me because it's getting dark. Keep picking, Peg, and you'll fill your bucket soon, I said. Suddenly got this strange silence came over me. The air got a little colder. No wind. It got so quiet. No birds, nothing. I couldn't even hear the sound of the highway. I can always hear the highway. I thought I was deaf. All I could hear was my heart, and I believe that stopped for a second too. Everything started to go in slow motion around me. And all of a sudden something clicked, and a voice said, "Get out of here now." I remember standing up and turning to go, and my feet felt heavy. I looked for the path, but I couldn't find it. I started to panic because I could see my house, but I couldn't find my way to it. The harder I tried to get through the trees and reach the road, the further away it would seem. It's like I was looking through something. I was walking on a treadmill in front of a big screen. I seen my sister's car pull in the driveway, my husband talking to her on the step and calling out to let me know she's there, but I couldn't call back. I tried and only a whisper. I started to get scared. It was getting dark and I wanted out of those trees. I remember saying, "Not tonight, buddy, not tonight. Leave me alone. I'm not playing your games." Next thing you know, I'm out on the path and standing on the road in front of my house, unsure of how I got there, but glad I was. Steve, I done and seen some weird shit in my day, and no one can tell me we're at the top of the food chain. There is so much out there that is hidden from the people of this planet. It is shameful. Maybe if we knew, we could understand better what some deal with. I don't know what's out there, but I know it's more intelligent than us. Keep up the good work, Steve. It takes a lot to do what you do, and my husband and I respect the hell out of you for doing so. The husband fears you're going to be one of those missing 411 if you're not careful, and I know I don't need to tell you to watch your back and stay safe, my friend. All right. Peggy, thanks for that email. Appreciate it. And I have a feeling that you may have just had a closer brush with death than me when it comes to the paranormal, whatever you want to call it. That sounds a lot like a potential Dave Pilatus experience right there that you had. David Pilatus related what he investigates, what he has been focusing on way more than Sasquatch, when that's where he started out, right? Like I always tell everybody, I watch the people that know more than me. I watch them. I watch what they're doing. I watch what they study. I watch what they talk about, and then I try to pull what I can from observing those people to add to my puzzle of missing pieces, right? You gotta wonder. I mean, Dave doesn't openly dictate to the people what he believes is going on, but he's non-stop looking into it. He really cares about all those people that have gone missing and the heartbreak that families are experiencing, right? But just think about it. The people that are investigating the missing people, they bloody well know a lot about Sasquatch beforehand, and they barely even talk about the damn things anymore. They've moved on, they moved up to that next level, whatever level that is, I don't know. But you're right, there's a lot of crazy ass shit going on that we don't know about. And yeah, I do realize I put myself out there, probably daily. But it is what it is. I don't fear death. I do not fear death. So if anything, if I do become up with one of those missing people, maybe with my stubborn, shit-eating attitude, I can manage to battle my way out of there and somehow get a message to all of you and fill you in with the knowledge I just picked up along that ride. Who knows, right? Or maybe not. Maybe you just end up coiling out of some alien on the ground of another planet. And that's how you end up, a pile of alien shit. Later on, I don't know, who knows. But we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. Anyway. Road tripping again for me. Road tripping again for me. Man. This lifetime just never slows down, you know? It's like the river behind me never stops. And then we just ticked off another day, right? Just ticked off another day from your bag of days. We all have a bag of days, and we keep taking a day out of that bag, and taking a day out of the bag, and taking a day out of the bag. Somehow most of us act like we've got an endless amount of days in that bag, but every day we tick off, we're getting to the bottom of the bag. We're not going to have any left over. So, on that note, don't waste them, all right, you guys? Don't waste them. Figure out what it is you love to do. Figure out what it is you love more than anything to do. It makes you feel good, and you do it all the time, all right? Here I go. Enough babbling. I'll be back with more voices to be shared shortly.